Look, we've seen a lot of days of Donald Trump melting down. It's hard for me to even say this, but yesterday may have been the worst yet. I don't know if you saw his speech at Wilkes-Barre. We did a whole video on it, but Donald Trump spent an hour plus rambling mostly about how he says he's better looking than Vice President Kamala Harris. And he kept on talking about her looks over and over again. It was creepy. It was distasteful. It was weird. I want to talk about that in a moment, but also I think we need to talk about Governor Walz's speech in Omaha, Nebraska. That was actually one of the best speeches I've seen in a long time. And Governor Walz delivered the message in Nebraska. Look, Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are not like us. They wouldn't even know about how we live our lives here in Nebraska, or just the way Americans generally live their lives. They're too busy in their right-wing echo chambers or dealing with their billionaires at Mar-a-Lago just to know how real Americans feel about these things. So let's just go through what went down in the past 24 hours, because Donald Trump wakes up yesterday. He sees that he's trailing in the latest New York Times Siena poll to Vice President Kamala Harris in Arizona and in North Carolina. You add to that he's trailing in Wisconsin, that he's trailing in Michigan, and he's trailing in Pennsylvania by 4 points there. So Donald Trump was right to have a meltdown. So he goes on his social media platform. He starts posting that Google is rigging the election and that there's going to be major consequences for Google colluding with Vice President Kamala Harris. And that's what is hurting him right now. That's what he's setting up as he tries to once again overthrow free and fair elections. So then he goes, he's in Bedminster in his New Jersey country club where he barely leaves. And so one of the things that he does is kind of North Korea Kim Jong-un style. He makes the people at Bedminster clap for him as he plays God Bless America or whatever song he's going to play. They have to spend 3 to 5 minutes just clapping for him and basically bowing to him at Bedminster. I'm showing you right there Kim Jong-un, how Kim Jong-un likes the way his people treat him. This is the way Donald Trump makes people treat him at Bedminster. It's so odd. So Donald Trump does this. I'm only going to play like 20 seconds of this. This goes on, though, for about 5 to 7 minutes. Here, play this clip. And then Donald Trump goes to Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania, where he gives this totally unhinged speech where he talks about, he says he's better looking than Vice President Kamala Harris. Here, play this clip.
Okay. She called it wrong. She's called it wrong now for about 8 years. But she said one thing that got me. She said Kamala has one big advantage. She's a very beautiful woman. She's a beautiful woman. So I decided to go back and reread the clause. I'm not saying he's, but I say that I am much better looking than her. I think I'm much better. Much better. I'm a better looking person than Kamala. No, I couldn't believe it. She said, I had never heard that one. They said, no, her biggest advantage is that she's a beautiful woman. I'm going, I never thought of that. I'm better looking than she is. In her speech yesterday,
he gets even more creepy than that, if you can believe it. Play the clip.
I mean, Time Magazine, think of this. Time Magazine doesn't have a picture of her. They have this unbelievable artist drawing her. And I said, is that Sophia Loren? I couldn't. Who might that be? Is that Elizabeth Taylor? They say she was a beautiful woman. Who is it? It's so beautiful. Drawing. It's a drawing. They took a lot of pictures. It didn't work out, so they hired a sketch artist. I said, I'm sure, they must be celebrating the great life and times of the magnificently beautiful Sophia Loren.
And by the way, the speakers before Donald Trump were equally kind of creepy and bizarre. This is Dave McCormick, MAGA Republican, running for Senate and trailing significantly in the Senate race in Pennsylvania. Dave McCormick's like, the Democrats, they're trying to take away your red meat. Here, play this clip.
And just when you think it can't get worse, she said she wants the government to stop you all from eating red meat. I'm laughing, but it's not funny.
Then they had this other speaker who was, I don't know, just some bizarre cult stuff right here. Here, play this clip.
Deliver us from a government of the globalists and of a secret Marxist cabal. Deliver us from a deep state that tells presidents, quote unquote, what they're supposed to do. I thank you for Donald Trump, oh Lord.
Take all of that and compare it to Governor Walz's speech in Omaha, Nebraska. Packed crowd. Compare that to J.D. Vance speaking in like parking lots. And here's what Governor Walz had to say. He said, look, Donald Trump ain't like us. Here, play this clip.
Now look, we're positive, but I think we all know Donald Trump sees the world a little differently. You think he would understand the importance of Carhenge as a historical relic? The British made a replica of it out of stone. It's so important, so just so we know. Or do you think he would know the joy of tubing and swimming the Niobrara as we do in the summer? And this one's for the gray hairs in this room. You think that guy could understand the pure joy of pre-gaming at sidetracks before a Husker Sooner game? All I can say about that, too, is I'm glad there weren't video cameras around at the time. So we've been there. Look, in Nebraska, you got a slogan here. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Well, it sure ain't for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
Governor Walz says J.D. Vance ain't like us. Play this clip.
And this idea about knowing us, let me ask you something on this. Do you think J.D. Vance knows one damn thing about Nebraska? He's going to be here next week. You think he's ever had a runza? You think he's ever had a runza? That guy would call it a hot pocket. You know it. Every one of you in here know it. A damn hot pocket.
What I love about what Governor Walz says, though, is the importance of joy and bringing joy and optimism back. He says, Vice President Kamala Harris brought joy back to our country. It's so true. Play this clip.
I have to tell you, from her first day as a prosecutor, and then as a district attorney, and then as the Attorney General of the state of California, a United States Senator, and our Vice President, Kamala Harris has been on your side fighting for you every step of the way. She's the one who took on the predators and the fraudsters. She's the one that took on the transnational gangs. She's the one who stood up against corporate greed. And she never hesitated to work across the aisle if it was right for the American people. For all the things she's done over the last 10 days, I have to tell you one of the things I'm most grateful for. She has brought the joy out in this country. Smile.
And so when I think about the difference between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris, I think about, for example, here's a video that we did at the MeidasTouch network, where you can see the difference between Trump and Vice President Kamala Harris and just how they treat kids and how they deal with people. This is telling. Play this clip.
You're going up the escalator? I'm going to be dating her in 10 years. Can you believe it?
Chloe already has her cape on. That's what his hair is.
Oh my goodness! You wore your cape! I forgot to wear my cape. Look at you. Come here, let me see you.
You want to go around? We'll get a photo of you.
Everybody wants to know.
And so, are you going to talk to the other superheroes? Yeah, did you talk to them about the old? Yeah, what are we going to do when we take it. They're going to be strong. They're work hard. Fine. Remember all that? Yeah.
What does Tiffany have of yours, and what does Tiffany have of Marla's?
Well, I think that she's got a lot of Marla. She's really a beautiful baby, and she's got Marla's legs. We don't know whether or not she's got this part yet, but time will tell.
My sister's name is Maya. She's usually little. Let me see you, Maya. Let me see you.
Always hold that chin up. Okay. You always hold that chin up, okay?
If you don't like it, I'll take it.
You will? Okay. Well, then we have a problem.
Really beautiful is Paris Hilton. Paris Hilton. And I've known Paris Hilton from the time she's 12.
She's hot.
Her parents are friends of mine. And, you know, the first time I saw her, she walked into the room and said, who the hell is that?
Did you want to bang her?
I'll tell you the funniest is that I'll go backstage before a show.
Yes.
And everyone's getting dressed and ready and everything else. And, you know, no men are anywhere. And I'm allowed to go in because I'm the owner of the pageant, and therefore I'm inspecting it. You know, I'm inspecting. I want to make sure that
like
everything is good.
You're there.
Yeah, the dress. Is everyone okay? You know, they're standing there with no clothes. Is everybody okay? And you see these incredible-looking women. And so I sort of get away with things like that.
Here's another video we did at the MeidasTouch Network where we show you Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump in their own words. Here, play this clip.
We who believe in the freedom to live safe from gun violence will finally pass universal background checks, red flag laws, and an assault weapons ban.
During my 4 years, nothing happened, and there was great pressure on me having to do with guns. We did nothing. We didn't yield. And once you yield a little bit, that's just the beginning. That's the avalanche begins.
We who believe in reproductive freedom will stop Donald Trump's extreme abortion bans, and when Congress passes a law to restore reproductive freedoms, as President of the United States, I will sign it into law.
Do you believe in punishment for abortion? Yes or no, as a principle?
The answer is that there has to be some form of punishment.
For the woman?
Yeah, there has to be some form.
I was proudly the person responsible for the ending of something that all legal scholars, both sides, wanted and, in fact, demanded be ended. Roe v. Wade. And we were able to do that when we terminated Roe v. Wade. And it's really working out well for people.
And we love our country. We love our country.
We are a failing nation.
One of the things that Vice President Kamala Harris's campaign announced as well is their record ad spend in swing states, in battleground states, and the plan that they've reserved all of these ads, both digital and on regular cable and on regular TV, in all of the key markets through Election Day. The Trump campaign's barely done, any of that, which Vice President Kamala Harris says is going to be a major advantage, a major advantage there. So I thought that was important. But, going back to that Trump event one more time, all you have are these MAGAs continually talking about the way Vice President Kamala Harris looks. I mean, here's an example. So before Donald Trump did whatever the heck that was, Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, he's one of the main kind of correspondents who follow Donald Trump around for the propaganda network that this was a Real America's Voice or whatever it's called that covers these events. And here he goes, look, he's very upset. Marjorie Taylor Greene's boyfriend, mind you, is very upset about Vice President Kamala Harris's clothing, hair, and makeup. And that's what he wants to talk about. Here, play this clip.
Kamala Harris, back during the early days running with Joe Biden, she had a very watered down look to her. She wore a lot of neutral colors, a lot of grays, a lot of blacks, very few bright colored suits. And I'd even go as far as makeup. She didn't have a lot of makeup on and almost no jewelry at all. No rings, no necklaces, nothing. And I think that was on point. And that was at the time when kind of this whole gender bender type of campaign was going on, where they didn't really want to celebrate, I think, a female. Now, if you look at her now and look at her campaign speeches and some of the pictures that's pushed out on social media and the ones that they do to press conferences, it's a very different looking Kamala Harris. She very much embraces being a female, and I think that's trying to speak to suburban women who might have been turned off on President Trump for whatever reason.
I mean, what's going on with these people? I mean, you have to go back to what Governor Walz said. This stuff it's dangerous, but it's also incredibly just weird, this overall behavior right here about how they're acting and what's going on. I'll leave you with this one more time. Just show you back to back. This is what Trump had to say. Play this clip.
Complains. Hey, look. Joe Biden hates her, okay? Hates her. You don't mind if I go off teleprompter for a second, do you? Joe Biden hates her. This was an overthrow of a president. This was an overthrow. They went out, I spent $100 million fighting Joe Biden.
They compare that to what Governor Walz had to say. Play this clip.
Yesterday, Vice President Harris rolled out a plan to start building an opportunity economy during our first 100 days in office. Cutting taxes, not for the billionaires, but for the folks in this room in the middle class. Taking on those who will price gouge at the grocery stores and other stores. Lowering the cost of rent and the opportunity to own your own home. Continuing to cut the costs of prescription drugs that we all depend on. And just like we did in Minnesota, relieving medical debt that straps millions of people.
Well, let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million together. It's wild stuff. Let's get to 3 million together. I think we can get there this week. Have a wonderful day.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.